right, let's dive into one of the most powerful, and I've got to admit, one of the most unsettling motivation techniques I have ever heard of. It comes from Steve Chandler's fantastic book, 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself, and it's called Get on Your Deathbed. I know, it sounds super morbid, but you have to stick with me on this, because this completely counterintuitive idea, well, it might just change everything for you. You know, the famous General George S. Patton once said, "Death can be more exciting than life." Just let that sink in for a second. What on earth could he have meant by that? What did he get that maybe the rest of us are missing? And that's really the big question we're going to tackle. How is it possible that our deepest, most primal fear, the fear of our own end, can somehow be flipped into our most powerful, life-affirming source of motivation? It sounds like a total paradox, right? But believe it or not, there's a really practical and profound solution. Okay, so this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. It's a real concrete technique. It's a thought experiment that was actually developed by a psychotherapist named Devers Brandon, and it's specifically designed to create a massive shift in how you see everything. So how does this thing actually work? Well, it's a four-step process. First, you have to visualize it. Really put yourself there. Imagine you're on your own deathbed. Second, you start to invite the most important people in your life to come visit you, one by one, just in your mind. Third, and this part is absolutely key, you have to speak out loud. You tell them everything you need them to know before you're gone. And last, you just feel. You let whatever emotions come up just wash over you completely, no holding back. Now, you're probably thinking this sounds incredibly difficult, maybe even impossible. And you'd be absolutely right. The author of the book, Steve Chandler, he actually went through it himself, and his experience, wow, it was nothing short of a complete emotional breakthrough. As he started talking to each of these imagined people, his voice just began to crack. Then tears started welling up in his eyes. He felt this profound, overwhelming sense of loss and just started crying harder than he had in years. It was a seriously painful and raw moment for him. But then, as he was sitting with that intense grief, he had this stunning realization. It was a huge aha moment. He realized he wasn't mourning the loss of his own life, not at all. He was mourning all the love he felt for these people that he had never actually communicated. It was all the unsaid things, the unexpressed feelings. That was the source of all that pain. And this is really the power of the whole exercise, because once all those intense emotions started to fade, something absolutely incredible took their place. Crystal clarity. All of a sudden, he knew exactly what was important, who truly mattered to him, and what he had to do. And this wasn't just some fleeting feeling that disappeared after a few hours. That newfound clarity became the bedrock for a whole new way of living his life, a life that was specifically designed to be lived without a single regret. So from that day on, he made this vow to himself. He decided he would never again leave important things to chance. And even more importantly, he would never leave anything important unsaid. He made a commitment to live as if any moment could be his last, making sure his actions and his words were always lined up with his deepest feelings. And he put this into practice immediately. A few years later, when his own mother was dying, he rushed to be by her side. He held her hand and just told her everything, all the love and gratitude he felt for her. And the result? When she passed away, his grieving was intense, of course, but it was also short because there was nothing left unsaid, no regrets. He did the same exact thing with his father. He knew his dad's illness made talking face-to-face really difficult, so he started sending him letters and poems, just to express how much he appreciated him. And then one day, his father called him up right after getting one and said, "Hey, I guess I wasn't such a bad father after all." He had finally closed that communication gap. So, what all this points to is a fundamental truth about us as humans. This really common habit we have of pretending we're going to live forever, well, it's actually incredibly damaging to our happiness and our motivation. The poet William Blake captured this idea just perfectly. He wrote, "When thought is closed in caves, then love will show its roots in deepest hell." You see, by locking away our most important feelings, we end up creating our own internal suffering. Chandler uses this brilliant analogy here. Think of your life like it's a basketball game. The player who knows the clock is ticking down plays with intensity, with passion. They find joy in every single moment of the game. But what about the player who pretends the game will never end? They get lazy, they have no fun, and ultimately, they don't really play at all. They just waste the opportunity. And that lazy style, that pretend it's not ending mindset, leads us to put off all our biggest goals and dreams. We tell ourselves things like, oh, someday I'll write that book, or someday I'll tell them how I really feel. We end up exiling our greatest ambitions to this fantasy island that doesn't even exist. Someday I'll. Which brings us right back to the ultimate paradox of this whole thing. By fully confronting the reality of our own death, by vividly imagining our final hours, we don't end up feeling like we're dying. We actually feel like we are being born all over again. It's just like the writer Anais Nin observed. She said, "People living deeply have no fear of death." It makes perfect sense, right? When you live a full life, when you leave nothing important unsaid, the end starts to lose its power over you. It loses its terror. And of course, there's that famous line from Bob Dylan, "He who is not busy being born is busy dying." This deathbed exercise, as strange as it sounds, is really just a tool to help you get busy being born every single day. So I'll just leave you with the one simple question that this whole exercise forces every single one of us to ask. It's a simple one, but it could honestly change your life. What have you left unsaid? And maybe more importantly, what are you going to do about it today?